that instead. Okay, but for now, we'll just talk about Kitty Pryde. Kitty Pryde, very, very exciting. She is the 51st hero to be added to the game, and she has some tremendously cool stuff. I'm very excited because she has gotten some massive upgrades from the last time that she was on the test center. Basically, her three categories are phasing. She has the ability to walk and move through solid walls and objects, all that kind of stuff. Importantly, she's able to switch it on and off, though. Lockheed is her alien dragon friend that she can summon. And it's interesting because Lockheed actually cancels out a lot of her other abilities. Doesn't really cancel them out, but causes them to be less usable. So it's kind of cool. It's an interesting switch for having the summon active. And then Ninjutsu, she is capable of doing a whole lot of cool stabby, slicey, all sorts of interesting things. But you can see by far her phasing tree is the biggest. And the first and most important thing is walking through walls. Because at long last, after what felt like so long, it actually lets you do what it sounds like. So ordinarily, like these walls right here, you can't walk through them, you can't go past them, you can teleport over them, but as Kitty Pryde, you can actually run directly through them. Same thing for these over here. We are actually capable of running directly through the walls as long as there is a walkable surface on the other side. So we can just run through the entirety of the little thing here. Can't go over there, because basically if you can't get there through a teleport, you can't get there through her phasing ability, but it's still awesome! And it's actually more canonical than the like pseudo-teleport that we had there. So yeah, very exciting. Phasing tree, absolutely ridiculously huge. So excited to just jump right in. As always, whenever I do one of these little preview things, I'll just go tree by tree and show you some of the cool stuff that they've got. But suffice it to say that there is a lot of ridiculous things going on here. So the over here, just a very basic thing that allows you to restore some spirit. Quicksand is an actual attack that slows the movement of the bad guys. Intangible is her big stealth slash passive thing, which is kind of cool and very reminiscent of Nightcrawler's power that I don't remember the name of off the top of my head, but it's basically the same thing where you stealth out and you're allowed to regenerate as you're going. Airwalking is her super travel ability, which, you know, is never bad to have. The non-corporeal beatdown is it's kind of cool. This is, again, a lot of her stuff for me is reminiscent of Nightcrawler, probably just because I really like Nightcrawler a whole lot. But the idea with the non-corporeal beatdown is that she's just moving around and punching guys in the back of the head, which is just mean if you ask me, but whatever. And then just a phase, man. It's just a phase. Like, whatever, man. So this was actually kind of cool because it's got a lot of random buffs that you get from it, and it's pretty cool. And the fact that you get invulnerability from it is pretty ridiculous. The thing is that the invulnerability buff does not, or the invulnerability time or the overall time doesn't go up. All that goes up is the attack and move speed and everything. So this seems like a one-pointer, although that health regeneration maybe not too terrible. But either way, very, very exciting to see. Whoops! Hey, look, it's Lockheed. I actually didn't mean to summon him. I meant to just bind the power to that button. But see, that's what Lockheed looks like. He's a friend. He's an alien. What more could you ask for? There we go. Okay, so first things first. Whee! So this is just the basic regeneration phasing ability, the over here. And the idea behind this is literally that you're just using it to restore spirit. It's kind of cool, though, because in the end, it's essentially a teleport power. So you can go through the walls with it, but at the same time, you can get the actual movement, the physical movement through the walls with her regular dash attack. Or dash ability, I should say. But it does do damage. Right? So that's just sort of the quick little escape thing right there. Quicksand, this is the power that actually damages some of the bad guys and causes them to be slowed. It's kind of cool. The only thing that's weird about it is it's channeled, but it's not channeled. Where normally you would have the bar indicating the channeling, now you don't. You can see we get the spirit back much, much faster, which is pretty cool. Right? So there's that one, and then intangible, her little thing that allows you to, outside of combat, get some stealth-based awesomeness. And you can see, I don't know if it's designed as such, but it looks like her feet slightly go through the floor. I don't think it's designed as such. The one really cool thing about this, though, is that it's actually a toggle. And once you're outside of combat, the toggle reactivates after a while. So you can just sort of go over here and then be like, wah, wah, bam, wah, ha, 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 and then run off. And then it'll retoggle after all the damage stops, essentially. So it's kind of cool in that way, and obviously very different from some of the other ones. She's got some pretty cool stuff. So yeah, pretty awesome, right? And then her very basic air walking move. Dun 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 dun. Somebody put on Sandstorm. All right, so that, I mean, I don't know if it's technically flight. It's not technically flight. The problem is it will be blocked by tall objects, so can't really do much there. But it does look kind of cool. It's very Baywatch, but whatever. Who's keeping track, right? So that's her movement ability there. The non-corporeal beatdown, my personal favorite. Essentially, back of the head smack in the face. This is kind of the cool channeled melee attack. And the really nice thing is the guaranteed critical hit on it, which obviously gives you a much better chance for a brutal as well, which is kind of cool. So it's a pretty neat option, and again, similar to Nightcrawler's Brimstone Beatdown, where the idea is that you're just bouncing around the bad guy, just beating the snot out of him. So it's kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, it's the spirit regen with this little power right here is pretty ridiculous. You saw how quickly my spirit regen there. So here I'll just waste a bunch of spirit using this, and then you guys can see how long it takes without using that ability, and then just using it really quickly, and it's like boom, whatever. See, comparatively very, very slow, and then just use this like twice, and boom, it's right back to top. It's absolutely insane. That regen is pretty ridiculous. The Just a Phase buff, probably the coolest buff that you can have. So I wonder if that's supposed to happen. I think it is, actually. I think she's supposed to be able to walk through the bad guys. Or it's just a weird thing with the test center that I've never noticed. Either way, this buff, so you can see she gets the weird little woo thing on her. It only lasts for 3 seconds, which is kind of meh. But at the same time, you get some pretty cool stuff with it. Obviously, you get health and spirit regen. The invulnerability is really the biggest thing from that. So you really don't have to worry about very much. At the very least, you're able to get away from everything that's damaging you. So yeah, her phasing ability is pretty ridiculous. There we go. Yeah, she doesn't have the object collision. I knew it was something. So see, walking through the stash, just because why not? Because I can. Because I'm mother effing Kitty Pryde. Woohoo! Sorry. Alright. Moving on to the rest of the phasing, because there's still more to the phase. The Watch Your Step is pretty incredible. This is her big damage AoE, which is actually really awesome. And not only that, but again, gives you invulnerability. Revenant, what did you give me? Oh, Revenant, you trying to be cute? Huh? You trying to be cute? Yeah? Yeah? Well, here. Yeah, have Lady Loki. There you go, Revenant. Have fun with that. Be awesome. Terrible. Where was I? I don't even remember. Right. Watch your step. This is the bigger damage attack that she's got, Heartbreaker, again, it's so weird. A lot of her stuff is, a surprising amount of her stuff involves being invulnerable and also dealing heavy amounts of critical hits, which, I mean, is pretty awesome. The Heartbreaker, very aptly named, going through the chest of awesomeness. Colossus bundle. Fine, fine. You want to up it some more? Huh? Bring it. Bring it. I don't see any more. I don't see any more bundles. We need more bundles. Here, have Captain America. That's right, I'm cheap. I only spent 1G. Alright. So the big damage, the watch your step phase attack. So cool. Now, the thing that I am genuinely shocked by is the fact that it has such a short cooldown. I have a feeling that's going to change, but it's kind of the opposite of, what's her name, Jean Grey, and her signature power. Whereas this one puts everybody in the floor, Jean Grey's launches everybody in the air. But it's pretty awesome. And one thing that I didn't mention is the signature power, which is the phased out. Ooh. Which is pretty awesome. And this is one where you need to basically just spam the button, and it does a whole bunch of damage. But for now, Heartbreaker is very, very much Kalima, a la Indiana Jones, Bragarg type of thing. Revenant, it's not funny, man. Go do it on live, and then it'll be funny. Then it'll be hilarious. God, I love that sig. Oh, so awesome. Sorry, can't help myself. So that's her signature. Is not only is it the fact that it's an AoE that you activate multiple times, but it just looks really cool. I mean, the phased out is just pretty awesome. I'm a huge fan of it, and Soul Sword, can't wait to show you guys that. So it's pretty impressive, and again, it grants invulnerability, so you can just spam it relatively quickly because the invulnerability lasts for 5 seconds regardless. So you can just go through it somewhat fast. The only problem is the camera. I imagine that it's the same glitch with Brimstone Beatdown, and that's why the camera doesn't quite cooperate very well with it. But in the end, it's really not that big of a deal. And I also realized I forgot to show you just the basic attack, the martial arts combo. Just pop, 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 pop. Nice thing with this one is the spirit restoration, you know, as you get with a lot of basics, which is, you know, never a bad thing. So that's always good to see. Now, Lockheed. Lockheed, in and of himself, is a very, very cool character. And obviously with many of his own personal attacks, you can only use them when he is out. Without Lockheed being out, you can't use pretty much any of his stuff, actually. So the Spitballs is the basic attack that just shoots out a bunch of fireballs. The Pet Purple Dragon is just the power that allows you to summon him, and it does increase his Fire Spit damage, which is his basic like pew 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 attack that he does naturally. And the other thing is he actually has his own spirit as well, and that's the what you're spending to use his abilities. Is you're spending his things. But you can see at the bottom of the tooltip here, whenever Lockheed is active, it actually removes dots, and it also it removes the damage over time, so it removes some of the incentive to help out. But it also obviously increases the abilities for his things. And when he's off, then ordinarily the several things, the Heartbreaker, and then Logan style, Watch Your Step, which is somewhere, I can never remember where these things are. I'm so terrible with that. There it is, the Watch Your Step. And then what's the other one? Phasing Samurai. I knew it was another one over here. So ordinarily those powers have a shared cooldown, but when, well, not ordinarily, but when Lockheed is off, they have an unshared cooldown, and while he is on, it's all shared. So I'll show you what I mean in just a little bit. But either way, the first thing you got to do is summon him. Got to get him out here. Okay? And now that he's out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So there's the Samurai. Oh, so cool. I'll show you that in just a little bit again. There's Heartbreaker. So you see cooldown 8 seconds shared with phasing samurai. It doesn't seem like the shared thing is working quite correctly. There it is. There we go. So you can see how they're shared. Okay. Now, back to our good buddy Lockheed. His basic attack that he uses is just a regular spitball thing. But whenever you spend the spirit for his spitball, so see that's the basic attack where he just stands there and pew pew pews. This is the initial attack that you're allowed to use with him, which is the little Spitfire area of effect attack, which is pretty awesome if you ask me. The buddy system is pretty cool. This is a combined attack between what's her name? God, Kitty Pryde and Lockheed, where it's just sort of like a melee tag team type of thing, and it's pretty cool. The bigger thing with it, though, is that it restores his spirit. It restores Lockheed's spirit, and now I accidentally got rid of him. No, Lockheed, come back! We love you! No! I'm so sad now. Yay, Lockheed's back! Bow, bow, bow. Right? So there's that. So you can just sit here and spam the spitballs, go in and use the melee combo to regen the spirit quicker, etc., etc. Turn Up the Heat is the kind of cool little fire blast, directed fire blast that he's got. That actually looks pretty decent. It seems like the stuff is based off of Pyro's animations, which is kind of cool. But you can see whenever he's using it, then he's just sort of sitting on Kitty's arm there. It just looks pretty cool if you ask me. I think it's a neat looking power. Am I missing stuff? Kitty sucks! Jiggercha! What the fudge, man? You've been gone for like 3 weeks and the first thing you say is Kitty sucks? I think she's cool. Her mom says she's cool. I think. Whatever, man. Oh, Line of Fire. So Line of Fire is pretty cool because this is actually based in part on how much of his spirit you've got left, and the more that you've got, the more damage he does, obviously. But I like to think of it as Fastball Special Kitty Pryde Edition, and it's actually pretty impressive because the using it at the maximum ability not only increases the amount of spirit that the buddy system power regenerates, but it also always does a critical hit as well, which is kind of nice. So it's pretty awesome, and it's just a cool looking power as well. And then fire. Right. Last but not least is the Dragon Breath. Who's that? Who is that? Somebody did a thing. Hunter Dragonblade! Good to have you follow. Weren't you following before? I thought that you were already following me. Irregardlessly, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. So Dragonblade, or Dragon Breath, essentially a pumped up version of the Turn Up the Heat, whereas this is just individual blasts. But the cool thing about this is that it leaves the DOT on the ground for the bad guys to sort of move around in. It includes a slow for them and all that good stuff. So it's pretty cool. Galaxy far away. The thing is, though, that's it for Lockheed, unfortunately. Well, he's got this little one here too, the Shadow and Flame. Shadow and Flame's kind of cool. This the Shadow and Flame is kind of similar to the buddy system, but it's sort of an upped version of the buddy system, and on top of that, it actually grants a buff to buddy system as well whenever you use it. So, you know, nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong. Except when you do that. Revenant, stop giving me stuff. God. Oh, burnt out on Marvel. Totally understand. Totally understand, Jukacha. No worries. Yeah. You are crazy, so that tends to help a little bit in that context. Alright. Next and last up, we've got everybody's favorite. Well, maybe not everybody's favorite, but pretty much everybody's favorite. The Ninjutsu Tree. The pirouette is just the... So you see here, it says damage over time removed by my pet purple dragon. We'll get rid of that. And now, we've got the damage over time that bases itself off of in part the katana dash as well as the walking through walls, because that gives DOT as well. Katana slash, this is your basic slicey slicey stabby stabby. Ogun's training. So, fun thing. One thing I do know, I know that Ogun as well as Wolverine and Kitty Pryde are very important, and I believe Ogun trained Wolverine, if I'm not mistaken. I think. Not sure. But either way. This is the other major passive power that Kitty Pryde has. So she's got the Ogun's training, and then she's got the, where did it go? Not airwalking. Just a phase. No. Dang, that's it. Intangible. Ugh, sorry. So even though intangible is technically a toggle, it has a really good passive effect. And Ogun's training is the same way. It's got really, really solid passive effects. And then the active effect is it's the CC break, which is always kind of nice. So yeah, pretty awesome. And not only that, but this has the critical and brutal strike spirit restoration, but it goes away when you use Lockheed, so Discipline Strike is mainly for use of the damage over time powers, because it stacks with those. Does a lot more damage. The Katana Dash is your basic slicey slicey movie. We'll actually put that on the right click here, so that we can move this over here. Phasing Samurai. I already showed that very briefly just to show you guys what it looks like, but suffice it to say that, again, this is another invulnerability one, and again, this is something that stacks really well with the damage over time powers, so better make certain that everything works out really well. And again, a lot of her ninjutsu powers you really don't want to use alongside Lockheed, unfortunately. But then Logan style, this is just her really big stabby. But you can actually use it fairly frequently. It's similar to the big ol' stab with Deadpool. But again, stacking with the damage over time powers. So first off is the Shadowcat's Pirouette here. Whee! Just move around, dance, dance, dance. Pretty cool, and again, it does have the DOT bleed effect, which is kind of nice, as does the walking through walls, but we're obviously not using that right now. The Katana Slash is your basic slicey attack with this particular tree, and again, so the idea being, you know, open up with the Pirouette, and then you can use this basic attack because it increases the damage with the damage over time. It's kind of cool. Alright, again, Ogun's training. This really only serves as the CC break primarily, so it doesn't really do a whole lot. The passive abilities are really good, though, because you're talking about crit, brutal, you're talking about the spirit restoration when you're not using Lockheed. I mean, it's pretty awesome. Really pretty awesome. And then, of course, you see the ratings for your bonuses increase after using movement. The idea being, you know, keep it moving, keep it going, keep it doing. Pretty awesome. Phasing Samurai. This is relatively similar to her Watch Your Step in terms of the actual animation, with the idea in this case being that instead of just jumping up, you actually jump up and slice around with your giant samurai sword here, your katana. But massive area of effect, which is just downright amazing. And in addition, again, you've got the invulnerability, and it causes a vulnerability with them. So, in general, if you're using an ninjutsu tree, the samurai is probably going to be your opener, regardless. It's pretty amazing there. Next up, the Discipline Strike. Watch out, watch out, watch out. This is sort of like the buddy system. Good song. And again, I mean, this is just sort of the, instead of being a basic slicey, this is the non-basic slicey. And that's pretty much it. Other than that, very, very similar to the regular Katana Slash. But that's not really saying a whole lot because it's still pretty amazing. Alright. Logan style, stabby stab. So I don't know if you guys saw that. It's pretty tough to really see. I'll try to get closer to one of these guys so you can see it a little bit better. Again, similar to the big ol' stab, where that's really what it is. It's just, and that's pretty much it. But similarly to, what's his name, Nightcrawler's Assassinate, it does more damage the less health the enemy has remaining. So it's the execute ability, which is always nice. Then the Katana Dash, the other main movement power for the ninjutsu. Not as amazing as some of the other ones, but it does more damage than walking through walls, which is nice. And in addition, you do have the bleed as well. But see, it doesn't actually allow you to go through the walls as everything else does. So, pretty awesome. Still pretty awesome. Drake Knapp, hello there. Good to see you. Good to see you. So what does this all mean? What are we looking at here? Well, for me personally, I really like Lockheed. I think that it's cool to have the dynamic between Kitty Pryde's powers and Lockheed's powers. The problem is using him locks down so many of the abilities, and it negates a lot of the bonuses that you would get. But I think that you could do a combination of all three trees. You could just do phasing and do perfectly fine. Look at all those powers. It's absolutely ridiculous. If I'm not mistaken, this is the biggest of any of the power trees that we've ever really seen on any hero, regardless. But you can do a whole lot of damage with just the phasing, and obviously if you do, then you wouldn't have to worry about losing things to having Lockheed activated. But being able to stack with the bleeds and having the DOTs from the ninjutsu is also pretty amazing and tremendously helpful as well. Revenant is linking me things. Oh, you got the uniques! Nice! Age of Apocalypse Claws. Nice! Cool stuff, cool stuff. Sprites roller skates. Very awesome. Excalibur tunic. So, see, there you go. When you hit with the Lockheed power, restore 2 Lockheed energy. So, clearly that means that we're going to have at least some additional unique choices here. So, very exciting. I'm doing pretty good, Hunter Dragonblade. Just hanging out, going through Kitty Pryde. Pretty awesome. Having a good time. Yeah, you really can't. There's nothing else that can go here unless you literally have like a row of 3, a row of 3, a row of 3, a row, and it would just be hideously ugly. But so Drake Snap, I am not certain when she is going live. I would hope that if it's not this weekend, it would be next weekend. For me personally, she seems really, really well finished. I mean, maybe needs some adjustment with cooldown times and stuff with like that, but even that, really not so much. But like her phasing ability working very, very well. I mean, pretty awesome. So, and Revenant says that that's all the Kitty uniques. The problem is, like you see, hit with a physical power. Oh, that was something else that I forgot to mention is her damage types as well. I believe that they are all physical, which is kind of nice, except for Lockheed's, which are energy. So, there you go. Or, well, most of the Lockheed-specific ones are energy, except for the beatdown ones. But either way, so Revenant linked all of these. Thank you very much, Revenant. But part of the problem that I have with it, at least initially, is the Excalibur Tunic is specific for a Lockheed build. If you don't use Lockheed, then the Excalibur Tunic is going to be pretty worthless. It's not opening. No. I broke it. There we go. See, when you hit with the Lockheed power, then you restore 2 energy. I mean, it's not terrible. You do get 2 to all powers, but at the same time, if you're not using Lockheed, the Excalibur Tunic is fairly worthless, unfortunately. But either way, I think that there is a lot of potential for her individual builds. I don't know that you could build something solely off of the Lockheed powers. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could literally just dump everything in there, but I really don't think it would work. I would have a very difficult time seeing something adequately built off of that. Ninjutsu you could definitely do because she's got solid AoE, she's got solid single target damage. Obviously with phasing you can do anything and everything because it has all the choices. So you never have to worry about anything ever. Right, last but certainly not least, one thing I always forget that I wanted to show you guys is her synergy. Whenever I do these previews, I always forget the synergy. Alright, where did she go? See, now I forgot my alphabets. There we go. Dodge and deflect projectile. So, sensical for the purpose of the character, and pretty reasonable. I mean, the deflect projectile chance is pretty good. I mean, 2%'s not great, but it's also not awful. I mean, I would like to see it be a little bit higher, but it is what it is. Alright, so now we get to show the ultimate, which is the Soul Sword. Big, giant physical damage, big, giant buff, as always. And similarly to Star-Lord's, I don't remember what the name of his ultimate is, but when he uses the Tesseract, essentially, instantly defeat all the normal enemies, and massive health and spirit regen as well. So I'll just go ahead and lose some health and spirit in various means. Stabby, stabby. What? Ultimate. So cool! So you can see we got the distinct buff going on right now. And look at that. The Soul Sword buff is clearly active. And is it just me, or am I the only one who's excited that we can finally use the Any Hero unique of the Soul Sword in a very appropriate way? Because I say it's about effing time. Finally. Either way, very, very cool. Tons of damage. A very cool looking VFX, if you ask me. And just I like the cool, like, just giant wave effect there. So